Hi, everybody. Welcome to Between the Vines. I am Jennifer Phillips Russo, the Viticulture Extension Specialist for Cornell University in the Lake Erie region. And I'm joined today by our team member, Andrew Holden, who is our Business Management Specialist from Penn State University. We should let you know that this podcast is being brought to you by the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program, which is a collaborative effort between two land grant universities. So Penn State specialists and Cornell specialists are on our team. So our grower population across two states gets all of the resources that are backed by both of those magnificent land grant universities. Go big. Sorry, I always say we are when we're around other areas as well, just so we include both of them. Hi, Andrew. How are you?
Doing well. How are you doing?
I'm well as well. Thank you. I should let everybody know out there who is listening that this is being recorded on December 19th, 2024. And Andrew and I decided to do a little bit of a wrap up. It is towards the end of the year. We wanted to talk about all the things we did for our team and the research and all of the workshops and education that we did last year, and also to talk a little bit about the season because it was quite tumultuous here in Western New York and Western Pennsylvania. So maybe
Definitely.
I'll actually start with you, Andrew. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
So I know you did a really great harvest wrap up. Do you want to talk a little bit about what you
Yeah.
reported?
Yeah, certainly. I was going to say that it was certainly a great introduction year for me, starting in March, learning, all about the Concord industry and growing up on Lake Erie, but in Ohio, the vinifera and the wine side I knew a little bit about, but really learning all about the Concord industry and uh, the ins and outs of this business has been very interesting this year, and everyone's telling me it's a good year to learn about some of the things that can happen. But yeah, I wrote a short article on this year's conditions and maybe a little bit of an outlook of what the future could hold and some of the trends that we're seeing in the industry. Um, talked about both juice grapes and wine grapes. Going into the season, there was a little bit of a concern that we had too much inventory on hand for our juice grapes, and there were concerns about that. And I think we'll talk about the frosts a little bit more in detail, but that was
And
a big,
Mother Nature had another
yeah,
plan, right? Like she helped us
to
out with the
keep things balanced out a little bit, and that along with our counterparts, our Concord counterparts in Washington and Michigan having similar issues and lower yields, we did not see that huge glut in our Concords, and that kind of kept things fairly stable as far as price and making it so next year we'll uh, be able to produce a solid crop as well. Um,
I'm going to interrupt just for a minute just to back everybody up for our listeners because we just did one of the reviews of how many downloads has this podcast have, how far reaching
mhm.
is it in our region, and to our surprise and amazement, it is being downloaded all over the world, which
Yeah.
I was flabbergasted by. So thank you if you are listening in. We really appreciate that. But you might not know what had happened locally to our region. And that is we had an awful spring frost. So our belts, our acreage of grapes in our region is approximately 32,000 acres, with the majority of that being juice grapes for the Concord industry. So 85% is for natives, and the other 15% would be vinifera and hybrids. We have both the juice industry and the wine industry in our region. And unfortunately, a lot of the early bud breakers that we have, those cultivars like Marquette Hybrid, Chardonnay, Vinifera, and especially Concord, because it's a very early bud breaker for this region. It's used to our weather out here. We had a frost hit um, that took out approximately 17,000 acres of our acreage. So we normally average, like last year's average per ton in the Concord industry was 9.3 tons per acre. And this year, that average for those 17,000 was 1 ton per acre. So therein lies Andrew's entrance into, hey, now what do we do? How do we sustain ourselves? So that's the little context behind why we're talking about what we're starting. What Andrew's going to lead
Yeah.
to big frost that affected a major portion of our belt.
Yeah, that was really the big story this year. And we we saw at least early on, a lot of the questions coming in, how do we manage our vineyards in this year where we're not going to have a big crop, where we're not going to have our normal income? Where can we cut back? And Jen and the team on the viticulture side, I think did a good job advising people on what you could skip out on, what you shouldn't really skip out on, disease management, that sort of thing. Um, yeah, I will say, that was probably definitely the low point for our Concord producers, especially. But there were some highlights as well. The transition to bulk for a couple of the different processors has gone into effect or is almost entirely in effect, meaning a lot of our growers have switched to bulk. And the ones that have, we've heard a lot of great things. It seems that they have really enjoyed making that um, harvest just more efficient and quicker. And a lot of people were saying that they can get their harvest done with less people and more efficient use of their time, quicker amount of time. And that's great. We like to hear someone mention that they were able to, they're going to be able to have less space or use less space when loading. Usually they load with bins and they have to move those around and load them on the trailer. Now they just need a small area on the field side to load up with the gondolas and the bulk equipment. So that was
I,
a
I have a question.
unintended benefit.
Sorry to interrupt. This is the way Zoom goes. Nobody knows when that pause is going to happen. I have a question, and I hate to put you on the spot with this. And if I am putting you on the
Yeah.
spot, we can cut that out of the podcast. I have heard some growers say, so there was grumblings about going to bulk. There were grumblings
Yeah.
about making that investment, and change is always hard. And it's just hard in everything in life. Some things that you have to just get used to. But I've heard some growers say that economically, they kind of pay for themselves after a very short time. Do you have anything, numbers to back that, or research that somebody else may have looked into?
Yeah, definitely. There's numbers out there and really at a certain size operation, it made sense, like you're saying, to switch to bulk and it will, you'll save money in your labor and time, running your equipment. Um, but it's I don't have the numbers right off the top of my head on what that acreage is, but if you're full time Concord grower, then more than likely it makes sense to do that switch. Now, we do have a population that, are reaching retirement and making that huge investment right before you retire. Um, if you're not passing that down to the next generation, if you're just looking to maybe sell the land or sell to a neighboring farm, maybe it doesn't make sense. And that's why it's really on a farm by farm basis that we recommend switching to bulk. And if if that's your decision, it does make sense for some people not to do that.
Mhm. Yeah, thank you for that. And you handled that quite well, even though I threw that at you without having any backup info.
No, no, it's it's a good question. I mean, that's definitely been something that a lot of growers have been dealing with the last couple of years is making that decision. And even this year, there's been a couple different grants for Pennsylvania and New York for equipment. Kind of following COVID and some of the supply chain issues, and we've been really trying to get people that were maybe on the fence about getting the bulk equipment to apply for these grants and try and get them a little bit of money to help make the difference up. They came a little bit later than I'd like, but it's still a possibility for some of our growers to get a little financial help in switching to bulk.
Yeah, and I'm so glad that you actually touched base on that because that's part of our programming that we did this year for our growers. And
Yeah.
it's so Andrew put together, and I'll let you talk about it, but it's something that I think is extremely helpful, not just for our growers, but for other commodities as well, was a list of grants. You did some education around and some research into what's out there
Yeah.
and what can help our growers. And go ahead, I'm going to let you toss you that softball to run with that.
Yeah, I noticed, especially after I started, that there was quite a few grants that were being offered for New York and Pennsylvania, and specifically grape growers, which isn't always the case. I think historically, there's not a ton of grants that uh, our growers could pursue, and like I alluded to, I chalk a lot of that up to COVID, and post-COVID, we as a country sort of realized that we have supply chain issues in our food systems. And to remedy that, they started putting money into these different federal and state level programs. And the grants, unfortunately, have come out a little later than we would like. But now that they're out, there's some money available for those growers. And I was just able to put all those in one spot. It's on our website. We also made sure to put it in our newsletter for anyone who's a member, and it's been helpful for people to take a look and see what they would, excuse me, see what they would be able to apply for, and we have or I've been able to help offer support and help walk people through some of the application processes.
If you're a member. And that this is a
Yeah.
sort of a shameless plug and a perfect segue into it. Is if you are a member of our team, and it really is a nominal fee. I even think out of state, and please don't quote me, but it is on our website. I think it's around approximately $100 a year to be a member to our team, but you get weekly updates during the growing season. You get access to all of these articles that we are talking about that are out there on our website and the information on our website. And you can find all that information at lergp.cce.cornell.edu. That'll take you to the registration page if you're interested. But if we also have another website that's just lergp.com that has a lot of that information on it as well. So thank you for allowing me to say that. And I think that's the first time in 100 episodes that I've even given out that information to become a member of our team. But I just have heard from people across the country as we go that they listen and they use our information, which is super flattering to us. Just remember, it's not something that Andrew and I make up. Everything that we do is research based, and we're pulling it from Cornell and we're pulling it from Penn State and some of our other colleagues at land grant universities to share that information with our grower base. So there it is. Shameless plug is out there. And thank you for that programming. I should also say that future programming, we have Andrew, because of all of that frost issues that people went through and the problems that they may have down the road for cash flow. Andrew's
Yeah.
going to be giving a presentation at our winter conference on March 20th in Fredonia State on, I don't even want to say on those issues. So I'll let you talk
Yeah.
about that.
Yeah. Really, something that has been the conversation this year after the frost is cash flow and predominantly, what do you do in a year where you don't have, this big income or, um, maybe instead of your normal income, you have a big insurance claim, how to handle that, how to, make your purchases and make decisions in a year following a major yield loss like this. And we're going to explore that. You know, to add on to what Jen was saying about being a member, I also want to add, I really appreciate all the people who are members, all the growers that are members, and it's been very helpful to me to get to know everybody and learn from them. I mean, really, even with these grants and some of the program that I've been doing this first year, a lot of it comes from feedback that growers give me, information that growers give me. I've learned more about these grants because of the questions that the growers have asked and the input the growers have given me from their past experience with these grants. So we appreciate all our members and we thank them for supporting us so we can help support you.
We have such a generous, collaborative, kind and caring grower base. And it is my hope that you find that all across the world.
Yeah.
But our poor industry has suffered a couple losses this year, and without without a question, our growers jump in to help out and take care, and they're constantly supporting us and constantly being appreciative of the work that we do. And then we have our advisory committee where they're actually, like you're saying, directing what we're
Yeah.
doing. And as we go through our wrap up for the year, this is a perfect time to talk about one of the things that we did, and that was welcome Andrew Holden to the team. So you started, what was it, March 1st?
Yeah, March. Yeah.
Was it March? March 1st of 2024. And look at where you are. It's December. And look how you just hit, as an extension, you just either hit the ground running, sink or swim. And you've done
Yeah.
a fantastic job. But I want people to know that he's our business management specialist. And I'll let you talk about your education and sort of why the reason we thought you were the best candidate for this position. I mean, you obviously need to sell yourself. Just talk about what your education was and what
Yeah.
your experience was and why you're such a great fit for this team.
Well, I guess I'll start with, I grew up on a dairy farm in Ashtabula County, right on the Pennsylvania line, uh, south of Lake Erie, and went to school for agribusiness, went to Ohio State University for agribusiness. I was the county educator, agricultural educator in Ashtabula County for 5 years,
In
where
extension,
in extension, yep, with got a master's from Ohio State as well in agricultural extension education. Um, and Ashtabula County is the number one wine producing county, wine growing county in the state of Ohio. So learned a lot about viticulture and enology. I was on the enology team with Ohio State Extension, and when this position became available, it was seemed like a really good fit. My ag business background mixed with some of my viticulture experience was um, a really it was a big part of the job that I enjoyed, and this just gave me an opportunity to really focus on it, and I've been very fortunate and thankful that it's been great so far. It's been a great first year.
and we are so appreciative. And growers in our region, keep making it a great experience for Andrew. We don't want to lose him. He has a very long commute to get here.
But well, no, I'll just say, keep asking me for stuff. Keep bringing, your concerns and issues to me. I have really enjoyed hearing from everybody, and you know, the more
Oh, I lost your audio.
oh, sorry about that. Can you hear me? Yeah. I was just saying the more relevant information that growers can give me, the more, relevant and important information that I can put together and get out to the growers.
Fantastic. Well, thank you for joining us. I'm going to actually walk through sort of our year to give you an
Yeah.
idea of what our program does. And some of this, Andrew started in March, happened before Andrew. So I'm going to take us back actually to January. And I will be looking at my notes on the side if you're watching this on YouTube and you're watching me glance over to another screen. So, one thing that our team is a part of, and it's like winter programming is what we call it, is called the Eastern Viticulture and Enology Forum webinar series. So
Mhm.
this series, we're in our going into our fifth season, I believe. This is a collaboration between many land grant universities, including Cornell and Penn State, but we also have Colorado State, the University of Georgia, Iowa State, University of Maryland, Ohio State, Rutgers University. I know I'm missing some more in there. So these are all of us who work in viticulture and enology across these land grant universities that are in the East. And we get together as a team and we put together some webinars for growers to register for. So there's usually one for every, I think we do at least four, but we've done more. And there's a viticulture series and there's also an enology series. because only one of those land grant universities needs to take the lead in order to hold the Zooms and the registration for that. Penn State University takes the lead on that. But if you Google Eastern Viticulture and Enology Forum, you'll get to see that schedule. And they're starting up again in January. And if you're one of our members, you'll start getting some information in the crop updates about what that is. If you are not a member, just Google that and you can see what's coming up. So we're excited to be able to offer that again this year and be a part of it. In January and February, we did what was called Technology Tuesdays. And they were events in person at the Cornell Lake Erie Research and Extension Center in Portland, New York, where Andrew and I are both housed in our offices there. And that was with Dr. Terry Bates this year. So we brought in people who wanted hands-on learning about the MyEV platform that we have. So it's the tool that can benefit them in their operations. And I know that you've heard a lot about it before, but the MyEV tool, it's a precision agriculture tool that was developed specifically for our grape industry on 6.25, I think it was, $1 million specialty crop research initiative. And it was called the Efficient Vineyard. I use this tool all the time. And it is such a benefit for our growers just to see that spatial variation and be able to manage things, just spatial, data driven, variable rate farm management. And even it's a GIS located so you can send your crew out to certain areas and you don't have to be there. Do you ever put I know a lot of you do it, I've seen it. You have your water bottle on top of a post in the wire or a big rock on top of the post, which by the way, at some of our processor meetings this year, they have mentioned don't do that because they're ending up in the harvester. But this helps tell them where to go. You don't even have to look for that bottle anymore because they know where it is. And we had in-person workshops in January and February for growers to come in and learn how to do that. And we actually walked them through and helped them set up their farms. This is something we can still do for you on a one-on-one basis. If you want to come in, just call ahead, send us an email, and I will set up an appointment to walk you through that. Another program that we do is monitoring cold hardiness. So this has been happening, oh gosh, since I started in my position. So yeah, and I'm actually the one who got the freezer here and everything. So this has just been my work in this region in collaboration with Dr. Jason Londo from Cornell University, fruit physiologist. And his one graduate student, Hongru, he actually did a cold hardiness model that is going to be integrated into our NUA website. So because of all the data points that we collect on a weekly basis on select varieties in this region, we can basically give a heads up. And this is sort of a risk management tool. Are your vines safe at that point in time? Do you need to go out and cut buds to test? Do you need to leave more buds up? Have we gotten through that hard part so you can go through? So you can learn more about that on our website and also in some of our past crop updates if you want to read some of those. We do another research that I collaborate with Dr. Jason Londo is microclimate sensor. So this is really cool. This is part of my research that's happening, and I'm so proud to be a part of it. And the pride comes from my collaborators. So I have 15 different sites within our region, kind of locally within our region. So our region is quite vast, but I have to be able to drive to them all in one day. So I have 15 sites 5 along the lake, 5 along the bench, and 5 along the escarpment that we monitor, just seeing if we know there are microclimates out there, but it's sort of quantifying the microclimates and are there actual differences? And this sort of relates to the cold hardiness monitoring also that we're doing, is because we give people recommendations based off of our station at Claro. And everybody has to know that it's obviously not the weather station in their backyard. These are the ones at Claro. But in general, you should go out and take a look, or maybe you have some cold hardiness issues going on right now. But what we have found with a couple of years that we've been doing this microclimate study is that there's a big difference in cold hardiness. We have about 2 different microclimates within just the region we're looking at with a 5-degree difference in cold hardiness. So it's really becoming important and allowing us to sort of dial in to your own specific area of what you're working with. And I'm expanding that research now to help inform some satellite imagery that's out there so that we can hopefully even pinpoint it further down with a tool in the future. So look forward to that. Hopefully that'll all come to fruition. So now I can get into things that Andrew was a part of.
Yeah.
Where
Wow,
I've had,
you did all that in the first 2 months of the year.
yes, thank you for that.
Incredible.
Now you know why my hair's always on fire and I'm
Yeah.
a little bit. So then we got into our grower conference, and that's always in March. And it's always around the third week of March that happens. And that was well attended. There were so many great, you even spoke there introducing yourself last year at our,
Briefly. Yeah.
yeah, briefly. Um, Please, if you're interested in that, look at our website. Again, I don't need to go over all of that for you. And from there, in April, and we're doing it again this year. So this is important for people in our region. If you are looking to get any of your staff certified for a pesticide applicator license, if I'm not certified, sorry, I meant to say licensed,
Mhm.
we hold a prep exam where the DEC comes out and gives that core exam, which is also core credits. So if you're looking for elusive core credits, especially for our Pennsylvania growers, it is a chance to get some of those core credits there. But they basically do a prep course of this is what's important, this is how you study, this is what you can this is how you need to sort of act with your license. It talks about worker safety protection, and it's really informative. And we keep doing it over and over again because it's well received, and everybody tells us how great it was in helping them get their license. So that happens 1 week, and then a week later they come back and they hold the exam, and that's all at Clairol. So we did do it last year, and we're doing it again this year. You can look on our website to find out what those dates are. I kind of have them in my brain, but I don't want to spit them out because I know I'll be wrong. So please look at our website for that. If you're interested in getting anybody in your operation certified, I said it again, licensed to apply pesticides.
And that class, I mean, I would assume it ups the passing rate quite a bit if you take that class ahead of time for the test.
It certainly helped me when I went. I was very thankful for that. There are questions that you don't anticipate when you're reading the book, and
Yeah.
they help you out with that direction. So then we get into our growing season. So we usually start all of our coffee pot meetings, which is something that has been a part of our program way before I joined, and so successful that we have to continue it. I don't think we would be the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program without coffee pot meetings. And
No.
they happen every Wednesday during the growing season from 10 to noon. And there are credits for everyone. And we travel across our states and across our regions so that we can get different sets of growers together to sit down. Yes, there's credits. We bring coffee and donuts, hence the coffee pot meetings. And it's very informal. We talk about timely viticulture, business management, and IPM, what's happening right then and there, and how you give you options, and not how you should address them, but give you options that are research based on how you should be addressing what's going on in
Yeah.
your operations at that time. And Andrew was a part of every one of them. It's where he gave some of his talks on the grants and introducing himself. And you did
And
a
it's a great opportunity to interact and see what's going on. You know, we can call somebody or have one-on-one meetings, but you get a group of growers in a room together and you start hearing what the major issues are pretty quick. So,
That's a really important point that you just said because I can speak for myself and say every little bit of research that I do has come out of our coffee pot meetings.
wow.
So every little bit of research that I've ever done is a direct impact from what our growers have said is important to them and is needed. So if that's any initiative for you to get to these meetings, and I'm not saying that I research everything that everybody wants, but it's usually the majority. That's where it comes from. All of our
Yeah.
growers start talking and they're like, this is happening. And I wish there was a way to do this. And we're like, well, let's look at it. Let's see. And I was sort of alluding to that, but never got to say it during my microclimate work that I'm doing. And I said that I have 15 different locations. Those are all on grower farms. So it's not me going out arbitrarily. Those are growers who are willing to collaborate and
Yeah.
give up a little bit of their operation for me to look into stuff that could help the entire industry. Our growers are so generous. And people ask me all the time, what's the favorite part about your job? And my answer immediately without thinking is always our growers. It's really, really a fun industry to work with.
Come for the donuts, stay for the on-farm research.
There you go. Well, in part of those coffee pot meetings, we had a really great one on May 1st. Like we
Yeah.
did one that was it was, I guess we could call it unprecedented. So, unfortunately, our
Yeah.
industry is dealing with the spotted lanternfly, which is an invasive species from Southeast Asia that showed up in our country in 2014. And thankfully, Penn State University, which is part of our team, has been the lead because they were the ones who have been dealing with it since that time. And
Yeah.
unfortunately, it is in the grape industry. So this invasive species is detrimental to grapes. It is a phloem feeder. And if left unmanaged, it can destroy vineyards in a very short time.
Yeah.
So we have had a lot of meetings, not grower facing meetings with researchers and state legislation and USDA on trying to figure out, this has never been here before. So, you have to have a little bit of patience. Research takes 3 years to be confident. Plus, no one knew how this bug was going to act once it got here, or that it would be so destructive or so preferential to grapes in Tree of
Yeah.
Heaven. So we've all been muddling through it together. And now Pennsylvania has had it for 10 years and been managing it. And we are lucky to be able to share the knowledge of all of those researchers. And we had Pennsylvania Department of Ag. So we held a spotted lanternfly summit for our growers. And there were over 100 people in attendance at that. It was a great meeting to have the researchers right in front of them because it's been with much trepidation. Our region is sort of bookended by populations. It's not here
Yeah.
yet, thankfully, but it will be at some point. Unfortunately, it's in vineyards in Southeast PA. And unfortunately, it's in vineyards in every other growing region of New York State except for ours. So it will get here soon, but we wanted to be able to have our growers listen to growers. We had a grower panel from Southeast PA who have been dealing with it for 10 years. And what came out of that, and we wanted the take home message to be, is that it is manageable. And part of the way of managing that, holy cow, you guys, I am just rattling through all of this stuff that we've done this year, was our team developed the Spotted Lanternfly Pocket Guide. And we actually unveiled it at this meeting that we had on May 1st. So this pocket guide is, I believe it's 5 pages long that gives you photos of what you need to look for. It gives you when you should be looking for each of the life stages, plus Tree of Heaven, which is its preferred host. That is also invasive species. It co-evolved with that in Southeast Asia. And then it gives you how to scout for it. And then it gives you management tips. And we have QR codes on there because of the research and this bug being so new and things are developing, that we wanted it to be updated and relevant. So there is basic management there on there, but then you can also scan that QR code and go to a resource page on our website that gives you more in-depth information on it, which has been received very well and actually has been taken across the United States. People have been asking for it. You can find a link. We have it in both English and in Spanish on our website, and you can print it off yourself. So that came from funding from New York State Department of Ag and Markets, and it is free for you to use. We are land grant universities as well. So really, it means a lot to me that we can do that and not have to charge for it. Like, here's this information important to you and your operations. Please download it and use it. That's another one of our programs. See, which pro do you want to? I feel like I am monopolizing this conversation because I am going through my checklist and I apologize, Andrew.
No,
So,
you're doing a great job.
yeah.
I'll just say, one of the first things that I helped with was that summit, and we talked about some of the pricing and the additional cost of managing for spotted lanternfly. Um, Again, a lot of unknowns on uh, how it will be handled here in Concord country, but we went through some of the materials and looked at some of the sprays that we're already doing during a normal year and how we can use those to kill two pests with one stone, so to say. And we found an additional 1 to 3 sprays was likely going to be the outcome of that, and we put some pricing to it, and um, that's data that I've shared in past newsletters, and we don't have to get into all of it right now. I don't have it in front of me, but if anyone's curious for that information, then they can always reach out.
Yeah, thank you for that. I'm going to go really quickly because people are just listening to me drone on and on. I'm just going to list off a bunch of the stuff that we did, but you can also find this information that we're giving you in our Harvest Wrap Up newsletter that is out there. If you are a member, you have direct access to it. If you are not a member, it may take you a while before you can have access to that. 'Cause I think it's a 6-month archive.
Hmm.
Or you can reach out to us via email. You can find them on our website if you have any questions about things that we may have to offer. But just really quick for our wineries, we worked with the Cornell Craft Beverage Institute and brought some programming to our winery stakeholders. So there were 2 opportunities in our region. So they were like north and south in our region. We tried to strategically place them so that we could cover all the acreages. And they were presentations and a sensory workshop from our Knology Extension Specialist, Anna Catherine Mansfield and Chris Gerling. And it was really fun. We didn't get to taste anything because that wasn't the purpose of it. It was to be able to sense and smell flaws that may happen and what that smells to you, because sensory is different to everyone. Some people smell things differently. So it was really cool to have the flaws already pre-made and then you knew what you were looking for, and we brought those to, like I said, 2 separate meetings on that. We had our precision and digital viticulture tools demonstration day, which was so fun. So research should always be 5 to 10 years down the road. And we have a lot of great collaborators. We had Carnegie Mellon, RIT, Cornell. We had a day at Clairol, which was on June 6th, I believe, where we had autonomous robots and drones, and the mechanical or robotic pruner was here, and that was received really well. That was the Spot Linsonowski was here talking about the spot sprayer, the Weed It machine, talking about her electrical weeder. It was just really, the growers were very interested in seeing all the stuff that's coming down the pipe to help them. We had
It
a,
was
go
like it's
ahead,
like
sorry.
it was like looking into the future. Yeah, like 5, 10 years. It was really neat.
It was, but this is stuff that we're working on and working on
Yeah.
at our station. Like these are things that are happening at our station. And we don't get to talk about research as it's happening, really. We only really talk about it after it's done when we're confident in what we've come up with and what we can share with people. But this was like, hey, look what's coming. And it was really cool.
And for me as kind of, an outsider looking at it, this region's really proud of their history of innovation for, the mechanical harvester and mechanical pruning and this. So it's really neat to see that spirit's still, being evoked and looking at, a robot that'll go down autonomously and prune a vine. That was just, I mean, amazing to see.
So much. I love it. I love our industry. I love our jobs. Then we held a soil health day, a New York soil health field day, and that was done to demonstrate the work that we are doing on the Betts farm. Shout out to Bob, Don, and Tom Betts for all of their collaboration and putting up with me because there is a lot of work to collaborate on this particular research project. But we brought in NRCS soil scientists. We brought in Debbie Aller and from the Cornell, New York Soil Health Alliance.
Yeah.
And we dug soil pits and we had demonstrations on some of the research that is happening and how you can improve soil health. And we had demonstrations on pits where had many cover crops, pits that had just weeds, and then pits that had only 1.5 seasons of a cover crop on it to show how fast you can remediate some of those issues like soil compaction. So that was a really great one. I've heard about that a lot, even from processors, that they really enjoyed that particular program that we had. And I have to just give a shout out to the New York Farm Viability because they're the ones who are funding that project for me. And really appreciate that funding and that support there. Then we had NASA come out.
Yeah.
I'm like, let's just drop that one there. No, we had NASA. So there's NASA Acres, and that was in August. So their leadership came out to see how we could collaborate and work together to help bring tools to growers. And that's part of that microclimate work that I'm talking about. So we are going to use a lot of my ground-based information that I'm taking and the data that I'm taking across our region to help inform their satellite imagery. So hopefully a lot of cool stuff will come out of that collaboration, as it already is with Dr. Katie Gold's lab for plant
Yeah.
pathology and disease detection. Just going to fly through the rest of this, you guys. Oh, we had the field day at the Penn State station. I don't even want to forget about that. And that was cool because that was they wanted to do that sort of low tech. There were no presentations. There wasn't anything electronic. It was just like a big old coffee pot with speakers just talking to growers and giving out information that we've had. We always have our gravel pit park twilight meeting that usually has about 180 people in attendance at that one. And there's the chicken barbecue that's already put on by the Hort Society, where we also talk about timely viticulture, business management, and IPM. So at that time, it's always in August, in the very beginning of August, talk maybe recapping the season, looking forward to harvest, and just getting everyone prepared for what has to happen, and also just meeting together for a chicken barbecue. That's always nice in itself. Let's
Yeah,
see.
I was a fan. I'll make sure to make it every year.
It's the corn, right? Like, whoa, you gotta go for the corn.
It was great.
Every December, we hold a virtual program called What is Your Spray Program? And we know that you're all deciding the chemicals for the next season around that time. So we want to give you research-based information so you can make educated purchasing options or purchasing decisions based off of that research. So we just had it. I should mention that even if you weren't in attendance to that, I'm not sure if it's still available to register for, but we reopened that registration because there was a lot of great information there, and we share the PDF slides and the recording of that meeting. You will not get credits if you want to see it post that meeting, but there is the option to have access to that, and you can find that information on our website. And if I lied to you at the end of December, then you can email me and let me know I'm lying, and I'll see what I can do for you. So I don't want to gloss over, and I know we're running long here, and I want to wrap it up in about 5 minutes. But Megan Luke, who is our viticulture educator for Penn State University, has done amazing work this season on, well, all around, but I really want to focus on two things that she's really been working on. One of those is her calibration. So she has a sprayer calibration program for our growers, people who are members of our program. She has purchased the equipment through grant funding to come out and check your sprayer calibration. So to make sure that what you're applying through your sprayer is actually going where you want it to go, is the amount that you want it to be. And most people are doing great,
Yes.
except Like they're putting out what they wanted to put out, but she has found that it's not going where they want it to go. There's usually like a nozzle broken, or maybe you broke a nozzle during the season and you threw one on and then you forgot you threw one on in a pinch and it didn't get changed. So it's really eye-opening to, and I've been a part of one of them and I was like, holy cow. So we're really proud to have that there. And again, that's available to our growers if you are a part of our program in this region. For our out-of-state growers, I'm sorry, we can't bring the equipment to you, but you can still learn from the information that she's getting out there about how important it is to calibrate your sprayer. And then the
But
other thing that she has done that has been invaluable, not only to our region, but across the United States, is her work on the EPA's Endangered Species Act regulation changes. So Megan has, God bless her, these dockets that come out are extremely long, and she reads through them all so that she can bring what these changes are and help keep our growers in compliance. So we are so incredibly thankful for the work that she has done there. There are so many other things, Andrew. There's their CAPS program, which is
yep.
the trapping program that we're looking for invasive species that Kim Knappenberger runs not only for our region but across the state. There is the NUA network that we do, that is all of our weather stations network that we work very closely with New York State IPM and Dan Olmsted. And Kim is even on the help desk for that. And we are trying to keep those up to date and relevant so that the data is correct for people in our region. Just so many things that we do for our, and I hate to be that, hey, look at us, look at us, look at us, but it's really important to know what's out there for you and what is available. And you can find this stuff on our website or reach out to us via email. So all of our contact is online. People laugh at me when I give it out on this podcast. I'm like, well, they could just Google us and find it anyway. So,
Yeah.
and in the future, Andrew, what are you looking forward to next year?
Oh, I'm looking forward to doing it all again. No,
Right? Are you ready?
yeah, it's I think there's, some challenges that we saw this year that we'll be able to help address. Really looking at cash flow. I'd like to do more with farm succession and transitions. I've been working a lot more on a one-on-one level with growers since I joined the team with planning for farm succession and planning for transitioning and that sort of stuff. So
Really
I think
important.
that's something that's important for our industry as most agricultural, businesses are. We're seeing the average age increase. So keeping that going to the next generation, or keeping that farm uh, together and passing it on to a younger generation is something that I think will be pretty valuable going forward. So doing a lot with that. Cash flows. There's a few more grants here in New York State that are just wrapping up, and maybe a quick plug for the FSA program that's out because it's very time sensitive. There was a announcement last week about the I need to pull up the information here, but the um, USDA and the Farm Service Agency put out this marketing assistance for specialty crops program, and it is in our last crop update. It'll be in the crop update today that goes out, but essentially, the federal government is putting some funding out for specialty crop producers, and that includes fruits, vegetables, tree nuts, Christmas trees, nursery crops, honey, hops, maple syrup, um, all those. You can find a list of what's included there, but especially for our grape growers, even the ones that are growing for making wine, uh, they can apply for this program at your local FSA office. And this is not a grant, this is a payment program. So the amount that you will receive is going to be based on the sales of products that you've sold either in 2024 or 2023, which is good because with the frost, the number of sales is down for some of our growers, so they can use their 2023 data. Um, They're not sure. It's going to depend on how many people sign up for this program, on what the payments will be. But it'll be a percentage of your sales. I think it's from 2 to 11%. It'll be a percentage of your sales for one of those years based off of how many people apply. There's 1.5 billion put into this program, but it's all specialty crops across the entire United States. So if a lot of people apply, that we'll see what that number is. But anyway, the important thing is there's no cost for you to apply. It's fairly simple to apply. If you've already worked with your FSA to get, maybe that some of the COVID funding, the CFAP money that came through a couple of years ago, then reach out to them. The deadline is January 8th.
Okay. Wow.
So
Yeah.
with the holidays and everything, it opened December 10th, I think, and it's closing on January 8th. And they say there's not going to be an extension. So do this
Mm.
as quickly as possible. Get on it. Get a hold of your FSA office. If you're computer savvy, they're telling me if you're in the system, you can do most of this online. You don't even have to go in. You can e-sign some of the documents. So if you have any questions, reach out to me. But the best person to contact would be your county farm service agency office.
Perfect. Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Well, I think we've drone on a lot today, and I really appreciate you joining me. But we're just really proud of all of the work that we do with the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. Everybody have a safe and healthy holiday and join us again next year. Be well, and thank you for supporting the Lake Erie Regional Grape Program. This is Between the Vines.